Everybody hang on, here we go.
The story felt like a fairy tale.
Best script I've ever read.
I couldn't turn it down.
It's escapism. It's a big blockbuster movie with incredible visual effects. It's unlike anything that's ever been made before.
Welcome to the first episode of State Secrets, inside the making of The Electric State, the companion podcast to the Russo brothers' newest film, coming to Netflix on March 14th. I'm your host, Francesca Amaker, and today we're diving into the creative powerhouse behind the film adaptation of Simon Stålenhag's dystopian graphic novel. And joining me are some of the most visionary minds in the industry, directors Joe and Anthony Russo, along with the film's stars, Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown, as we explore what fuels their inspiration and brings this unique world to life. This is episode 1, The Secret to Getting Inspired. Joining me now, stars of The Electric State, Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. Hello, Michelle and Keats.
Right.
So good to be with you. You guys look a little different than outside the movie.
Do we?
Just a little bit, you know.
Thank you.
There was some extra hair there.
There might have been a little extra locks, a little more of a mustache.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. Why The Electric State? What was it about this movie that really drew you in?
Well, it was one of the best scripts I've ever read. I read the script. It was wildly original. Of course, it's based on original IP. It was a film that was so inventive and so beautiful. And to be able to join something like this, to work with the Russo brothers again, to work with Millie, of whom I've been a huge fan forever. It was just one of these things. I actually didn't want to do any work at that point. I was like, I'm taking this time off. And I told my wife that, and then I read the script. I was like, honey, this is so good. And she was like, wow, you should do it. And so we did it.
Millie, what was your reason?
Kind of to Chris's point, it's just like there was too many reasons. And I had been a huge Russo brothers fan for a really, really long time. When I was really young, on Stranger Things, they invited me onto the Avengers set to actually watch them direct, which was an amazing experience. And I just remember ever since watching them, I was like, I really want to work with them. And I really want to be in front of those cameras because they just feel like the bigger kind of movies. And I was really excited about that. And then my dad brought me the script and I couldn't turn it down.
Take my hand. You're my kid sister. That's our backstory. Your name is Veronica.
Veronica with a B.
Have you ever met anyone named Veronica with a B?
Actually, I have.
Okay, no, it's V.
Okay, Veronica.
Like Veronica.
Last
You know,
name.
your character is a mute.
Okay, so we've heard from the Electric State stars Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. Now let's dive into a conversation with the creative masterminds who set the vision in motion for this project, the Russo brothers. We met at Agbo Studios, where they told me how they drew upon their own inspiration to bring this unique world to life. Anthony, Joe, so good to be with you. It's an honor.
Thank you. It's
Thanks,
great to be
Francesca.
here.
The Electric State, this graphic novel, what drew you in? What was it about this novel?
Well, the artist Simon Stålenhag created a beautiful graphic novel called The Electric State. And the images from the book are just so striking. It kind of reimagines 1990 America, particularly the American West, as if a war had transpired between AI robots and humans. And it's sort of set in the aftermath of that war. And there's a teenage girl traveling through this landscape searching for her brother, and she's got a little robot friend along with her. And there's not a whole lot of story in the graphic novel, but the images are so striking and curious. They really suggest a much deeper story in a much deeper world. And I think that's what really appealed to us.
To dig in and try to find that story, yeah.
Now, I know this book got to you all in a very interesting way.
That's right. Christopher Marcus, who's been a longtime collaborator of ours, he's part of a writing duo called Marcus and McFeely, who did Captain America: Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame with us. Chris actually is the one who found this book. And then he brought the book to his 3 collaborators, Anthony and Steve McFeely. And we were all enthralled with the book. And he had some ideas about how to fill out the story of the world. And we set out to craft a screenplay and get this thing to the screen.
Joe, you mentioned that this was not something that had a beginning, middle, and end, right?
That's
so
right.
What is the secret to identifying this source material and knowing that it can have legs?
We had a lot of experience with that with Marcus and McFeely. You know, all of our work at Marvel together was based on wonderful source material, but also like figuring out how we are inspired by that source material, but are also able to bring an original, fresh story to audiences. So it's a favorite thing of ours to sort of look at the work of other artists and find inspiration for that in our own storytelling. And I think really, what motivates us with the material is just, does it speak to us on a personal level? Do we feel like there's something in it that is speaking to our current anxieties about where the world is, or our questions about what's happening to us collectively? We like epic storytelling, and epic storytelling often encapsulates this zeitgeist in terms of what's happening in a moment. And I think this material, even though it is set in the 1990s, we feel like it speaks very powerfully to what we're all going through today.
Separating yourself from the world doesn't work. Trust me, I know. We have a chance to tear their whole sick system down together.
Metal and meat together.
We were talking about the legs, the adaptation, and how that was even possible.
Yeah.
What was it about this?
You know, film is a visual medium, and this graphic novel is intensely visual. And there's some haunting images in it, some beautiful images in it. And each of those images, when we looked at the book, held a story. And it inspired us to find the story and craft it and build it out. That's a really exciting way to incept a movie, is through strong images that, you know, don't have an explicit story attached, but a subtextual one that you have to go on a mission to find. And that was the best part of making this.
This next question, so many fans are probably glued to the speaker right now. What inspires the Russo brothers? What does it take?
What we really thrive on is the collaboration.
Yeah.
Being able to talk through things that excite us. I think that's a big part of how we work ourselves up about an idea, is just simply sort of like throwing ideas back and forth, throwing ideas to Marcus and McFeely back and forth, and sort of finding ways to like excite one another. And once we start to do that, it sort of snowballs, and eventually it can turn into something.
Gets the creative juices going. I mean, we grew up on a steady diet of science fiction and fantasy, and so our brains are always attracted to these big, more fantastical ideas that can present really interesting themes, but also be highly entertaining at the same time.
Stay calm. Stay calm. Scavs are still machines. They're rational.
This project was clearly driven by collaborative energy, but adapting a graphic novel adds a whole new layer of complexity. The visuals provided a strong foundation, but bringing those images to life on the big screen was a true challenge, one that required the incredible talents of longtime Russo brothers collaborators, writers Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. I need to know the story about how this all came to be. The Electric State is electrifying. Chris, you tell me.
Well, I mean, obviously it was a book before, but we first came upon it, I came upon it, while wasting time. We were in the office in Atlanta working on Infinity War and Endgame, and I was on Facebook, back when I was still on Facebook, more about the dangers of technology later when you watch the movie. And a friend of mine posted the crowdfunding link for this book. And it was just images of disparate things, and I had no idea what they were. But there would be a robot slumped over the power lines. There'd be a smaller robot dragging a girl. And I just sent it to Steve and Joe and Anthony and said, this looks like a movie, but I don't know what it's about. And everyone agreed. It did indeed look like a movie. And the what it's about has taken, you know, about 7 years after that.
7 years. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I'm glad you mentioned the Russo brothers. What is it about them that makes the collaboration so beautiful and keeps you wanting to work with them?
We have pictures, compromising
right.
photographs of Anthony specifically.
They're a duo, we're a duo, but we also had similar tastes in a lot of ways, right? So they came in on Winter Soldier. We'd done what we thought was a pretty good draft, and they came in and said, all right, here's what we want to do with this. And pretty much everything they said, we said to ourselves, oh, wow, if we directed, that's exactly what we would do. And that's a better idea than we had. And so that started this process of us working together that we sort of codified into, the company that we started. But it's really just been a really good collaboration for 11 years.
Wow. You two are the best in the game when it comes to writing. I want to know, what inspires you?
It's different every time. And I'm always leery of the word inspiration because you can't rely on it. And people want pages, whether you're inspired or not. So if you're waiting for, a magical fairy to fly in and it doesn't fly in, you still have to write, or I still have to write. So, the spark comes from different things. This was completely visual at first, and it was just a look and a vibe where it's like, I would like to feel that come to life.
I'd like to go live in that world for a while.
Yeah.
It's not a paradise by any stretch, but it was, we thought, unique. I mean, it's a little post-apocalyptic, but it's also this weird retro world. And Simon Stålenhag is, I think, just a genius at sort of this painterly way of giving you a scene without knowing everything about what's going on or got you there, which was our responsibility.
But again, if there had been nothing past those images, I don't think we would have done it. But when we finally got a hold of the actual book, there's a very compelling, simple human story of a girl, her brother, who has seized control of this robot, and it is, despite all the technology, it's a very simple, old-fashioned human story. And so it's like, okay, I understand that, and I understand why I would continue to care about that.
We're gonna go get Chris.
You realize your brother is a lemon-head robot, right?
He's not a robot, he's a person.
So what are you gonna do if you find your brother? I mean, the rest of them.
With the emotional framework in place, it was time to focus on the visual and technical elements. Here's Chris Castaldi, first assistant director and producer, sharing how they transformed those images from page to screen. You got to break it down to us. What is your role as the producer on The Electric State?
Oh boy, as the producer, it's kind of a macro role. I come on very, very early in the project infancy, when the script has partially been developed and Joe and Anthony decide that this is going to be the next project they direct. So it was a bit of a process just to get off the ground. And so from beginning to end on this one, as a producer, I've been on this film for over 4 years. Yeah.
4 years. Oh my goodness.
It's been quite a ride, yeah.
Wow. So I want you to kind of paint the picture. Do you have any specific creative elements or moments that while you were reading this graphic novel jumped out at you? What are the specifics?
Oh God, there's probably too many to even go through. We have sets and we have scope that is just so large and so fun to be a part of. We have a whole robot element that you have to imagine while you're creating this. So we can have a set the size of a football field and have 2 actors standing in the middle of it, and yet we have to plan and design and orchestrate scenes and the flow of the scene based on there's going to be 500, 600, 700 robots in this scene, and they're moving all over the place and they do very specific things, and our cast has to interact with many of them.
Touch my hair and I'll kill you.
So it's very technically challenged. It's kind of like making a Transformers movie and a Pixar movie at the same time and combining them. You really have to, you just have to have a creative juice. You have to have a lot of imagination, and you just have to envision things as Joe and Anthony, as they let you know what they're thinking, and the previs and all of our storyboards, and we get a feel for how it's going to come together, but we really do get a blank canvas that we get to play. So it's just a lot of fun.
It sounds like it. I love that you're able to tap into your logistics side as a first AD, but also tap into your creative side as a producer. So I want to ask you about this amazing graphic novel. What were the themes that jumped out to you that said, this has to be in the film?
Well, the most important thing about this graphic novel and the story of the Electric State is it's absolutely wholly original. And if you know Hollywood the last 20 years, it's rehashes and sequels and reboots and the same stuff churned again and again and again. So working on a project that we can create a new world, create new characters, tell a story that's never been told before, explore themes that have not been explored before. This checks the boxes. Like, this is exciting, and it's rare that these projects come up, and a duo like Joe and Anthony Russo take these projects, something that requires a lot of faith and belief and sheer will to get made. And now that the project is nearly complete, it's sensational.
What do you want audiences to take away from this film, Chris?
Oh boy. I would love the audiences to go in with an open mind and experience something that is new, that is very unpredictable. I would love for them to emotionally get involved in these characters and go on their journey and attach themselves to not only the characters, but the robots themselves, because these robots are fully functioning human emotion characters that you're going to get very attached to. I want them to enjoy it and say, I want to see it again and experience it all over. So I think it's really, really, really exciting for an audience to see something this fresh. And I hope they embrace it enough that we get to make another one.
From the cast to the crew, The Electric State was a true labor of love and creativity. At the heart of the film is this collaboration between its creators, actors, and every department working behind the scenes, including producer Angela Russo-Otstad, Joe and Anthony's sister, who played a key role in bringing this project to life. Angela, this movie is something else. When you initially read the script, what was it that jumped out to you that said, I got to be a part of this?
Well, it's interesting. My journey on this movie came before the script even. And so I got to be a part of the script development process with Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. And that was a real privilege. And I remember the day that we sat down in this very room, actually, to do a table read together. I remember looking up at both of them, and I work at AGBO with them, and I oversee our creative on all of our projects. And I said to them, all of our children are special. I love them all, but this one, I think, is my favorite. It was just magic on the page, and I was really taken by the work that they'd done and the ways that they took the world that Simon Stålenhag had created, which was so imaginative, and built out this rich mythology and really beautiful story between a brother and a sister at its core.
I never got to say goodbye to you.
You never have to. It's possible our consciousness could transcend physical boundaries. Quantum physics says that particles can stay linked in a state of electricity way after they come into contact.
You talked about the imagery and how you were blown away by opening this book right here. Yeah. What is it about this book that has the perfect source material? How do you determine the perfect source material for something that will become a great movie?
What I always look for is a world that feels like it could go beyond the story that we want to tell. And when that world feels endless in terms of the sandbox that we could play in, that's when I know it's a really special project to pursue, because we'll have a lot of fun telling this first story, but if we're lucky enough, we'll get to tell more and more and more, and hopefully people get to revisit it again and again. And one thing that I loved about this script is having this strong female teenager at the center of it. She's the hero of the story. She's the one who will change everybody. And I thought that, we don't see that as often as we should. And I loved that a character like Keats could come in and not necessarily guide her to do anything that she doesn't instinctually know, but just sort of be there to buffer her along the way. Like, that's a really interesting dynamic to explore, especially for a big star like Chris Pratt.
Your brother's not the only special one from your family, kid. So you want to go get your brother back? I'll go with you.
When did you stop being an asshole?
No, I didn't. I just got a haircut.
It's really remarkable to see him playing a role like that that's in service of this young woman on her journey. Because often we're used to seeing him, more front and center. And I really thought that it was a lovely pairing between the two of them. And I think people are going to watch this film and just want to see Crispy Keats all day long.
Angela Russo-Otstad, thank you so much for taking the time, sharing these experiences and these stories with us. Thank you. And that is the secret to getting inspired. Finding material that resonates on a deeper level and surrounding yourself with passionate collaborators who elevate your vision. From the pages of a graphic novel to film, The Electric State is the result of countless hours of creativity, problem solving, and above all, inspiration. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey. Don't miss our next episode where we will reveal more behind the scenes secrets as we count down to the launch of The Electric State, coming to Netflix on March 14th. Until then, stay curious. I'm your host, Francesca Amaker. State Secrets Inside the Making of the Electric State is a production of Netflix and Treefort Media. From Netflix, our executive producers are Catherine Hugh and Ray Vada. For Treefort Media, our executive producer is Kelly Garner. Our series producer is Mary Chalenza. Our co-producer is Lisa Ammerman. Our lead editor is Martin Applebaum, engineered by Matt Dyson, and our associate producer is Aiden Brooks. Special thanks to Marianne Coltai-Levine, Sarah Caruso, Sophia Russo, and the rest of the team at Agbo Films. Be sure to check out Joe and Anthony Russo's video podcast, Pizza Film School, and listen to more from Netflix podcasts available wherever you get your podcasts.